Right now, a lot of people are feeding into content that is hateful, angry, filled with drama. It's everywhere. Sometimes people use it for comedic purposes, joking around friends, rivalries, it does make good content. There's a reason why that kind of thing gets a lot of engagement. But I think no matter where you are on the internet, or even just watching the news, you've probably seen it. How quickly people are to pick up their pitchforks and get angry and wanting to cancel people, or just wanting a reason to, get all riled up. I think in some situations that is needed, right? That kind of energy does spark change. However, I want to talk about more so how there is just an abundance of negativity and hate. And it's really easy to jump on that train, especially on the internet, where you are not face to face, where people can just hide behind their accounts. There are accounts that are dedicated to rage baiting. People make money off of clipping things out of context, and, things can get really messy. I think it really disheartens me to see how much views that stuff gets, how much engagement. Like that's why people do that, right? In recent years, I have been a lot more aware of the kind of content I'm consuming, but even then I still come across things that are, rage baity, or just angry and hateful, or just like random drama, sometimes over things that I think are unnecessary, because people want views, and I get that. I'm not here to really be super judgmental of anyone. It's more so I just wanted to speak some of my thoughts about kindness and what I've learned as a content creator myself. If you don't know me, hello, my name is Moon, the fairy raccoon. I am a tarot VTuber and artist. I stream on Twitch and on YouTube. I do free tarot live streams all the time. And before we continue on, keep in mind that I am a person who is very spiritual. I'm going to be talking about my own experiences with a spiritual lens. I mean, I own my own tarot business, So it's okay if you don't share the same beliefs as me. You don't even have to watch this video if you don't want to. But for those who choose to stay, I hope you find something valuable, whether or not you are similar to me or different. I felt really called to make this video, even though it's not really anything I really considered before. I mean, I kind of just consider this as one of those videos of just someone talking and sharing their thoughts as a content creator. I know lots of people do these kinds of videos. I think the videos I've made before have always been really focused on certain things, on certain topics. I have tarot pick-a-pile videos right now. But I've been posting content for years, but I have sort of a fresh start with this Moon the Raccoon channel. I think I just wanted to voice my thoughts about how valuable kindness is right now. I have always been just a kind person. I've always been very, very caring my entire life. That is just a key part of who I am. Although I am a bit of a people pleaser. I've been working through that for a lot of years now, though. And recently, I've really been learning how not to just be kind to others, but also how to be kind to myself. And I really, really believe there is a lot of value in that as a content creator. I believe that opportunities find you not just when you are being kind to others, not just when you're being kind to other creators, for example, or streamers if you're a streamer. But opportunities also come when you are kind to yourself and when you are valuing yourself and taking care of yourself. And it's not only just a belief. I've seen so much proof of this in my own life. And I think that's why I have felt comfortable talking about this right now, because I have received so much success over this past year that I've been streaming in ways that I didn't even really imagine. I started off just doing free tarot live streams on Twitch and YouTube. Well, that's not the very, very beginning, right? I was posting tarot videos before that, but when I started this Moon the Raccoon identity was more so when I started streaming in November of 2024, I believe. Yeah, because I think this last November, it's February 2026 when I'm recording this, and this last November, which was in 2025, was when I hit a year. Anyways, I did not think I would make friends as a tarot streamer. I didn't even really think I would be a streamer at all. Like, I have always been more of a YouTube person and saw myself doing more so that kind of content. I think mainly because I think there's a bit more control with YouTube videos of, like, you know, taking my time and editing things. And I'm a very anxious person. I'm such an overthinker, which sometimes is good for creativity, you know, thinking about things, creating ideas, but unfortunately, because I'm such an anxious overthinker, you know, that hinders me a lot of times. So I could just not really imagine myself streaming, you know. I've been watching streamers for years and, you know, I've enjoyed that content, but I was like, oh, I'm not. I'm just a shy, silly, introverted person. I don't really think I could do this. And as I said, I didn't think I'd make friends. But now I have a lot of friends, and a handful of people I'm closer to who are also streamers or content creators. Not all of them, but, and I think that really sprouted from my kindness. There is a certain energy I try to bring to my live streams, a certain energy of being a welcoming, kind space. And I know I'm not the only streamer to do that, right? There is, I think it's growing more popular, you know, the comfy streams, the cozy streams. I'm still pretty playful on my streams, but I think that's something that I really value for myself in the way I create, and I think that is just, I don't know, there's just a certain vibe to my content that I try to bring in, that I'm trying, or I have created with my own community, that I think is unique, even among other cozy type of streamers or chill streamers, you know. And that's the thing about being a creator, is there is only one you. There is only one you. And that in itself is a beautiful thing. And I think I've really tried to lean into my strengths as a person. And as I've said, part of that being, you know, that I'm kind. Or I try my best to be. I try my best to be as considerate of other people. I've always been very, very empathetic. I've been through a lot of tough things. And I honestly think that's partly why my tarot readings sometimes really connect with people, is because I try to keep it real in a sense of, I am a human who has also suffered. I know what it is like to suffer. I know what it is like to feel pain, to feel betrayed, to just, you know, go through tough things, right? I obviously am not saying I understand everyone's struggles or every person's struggles, but I do believe that a lot of the people who come to me for a reading are there for a reason, and that on some level I can connect with them and give them some sort of hope, comfort, maybe some sort of answers, or a push in a direction of where to go, just something. I know what it feels like to feel lonely. I used to be extremely depressed, and anxious. I'm still anxious, but I'm a bit better now. I used to be in a very dark headspace for years. Years and years and years. And I think I'm in an era of my life now where I am a lot more at peace. You know, things still aren't perfect, right? But overall, I am happier. Overall, I'm finding more joy. And I think part of that, you know, going back to somewhat the point of this video, I'm kind of just letting myself ramble a bit, but I think I have valuable thoughts to share anyways. As a creator, you need to have at least some level of respect towards yourself. And as I've been saying, kindness, care, because that will attract that energy towards you. That makes sense. For me, as I said, I'm a spiritual person. When I first started, the day I started streaming, it was either the same day or the day before, I had received some very, very tough news. Not even tough. Honestly, scary. I was scared. For my family, for myself. I still told myself that I was going to stream and get this started because I had been preparing for it for weeks, and, I won't get too much into a lot of the details, but that very first stream was successful. I kind of put on this Moon the Raccoon persona of someone who, I guess, believes in myself, even if internally I was still struggling and still so uncertain of myself. I kind of projected this energy of believing in myself, of believing what I'm doing, having confidence in my tarot readings, even though back then when I first started, I had been doing tarot for years already, but I had been doing it more intuitively. So, I've been doing it intuitively, and I had never done it in front of a live audience before, right? Usually with my readings, I would take time doing them for people and write them out. So it was a learning experience, but I still didn't even 100% know the exact meanings of a lot of the tarot cards because I had been doing it intuitively. But I realized for stream, I should probably learn the general meanings a bit better because my readings were working out even while doing it intuitively. Yeah, regardless, the point of me saying this is, as a content creator, I think you have to kind of step into this energy, step into this persona you're pushing out. And for me, it's not like when I say stepping into a persona, it's not that I'm not being myself or that I'm lying to all of you. But like I said, it's just kind of an energy you have to embody. Because I kind of think of it almost like a stage, I used to be in theater. I used to be in choirs. I stepped into an energy where I was projecting someone who was successful from day one. Internally, like I said, there is obviously those feelings and thoughts of oh my gosh, what am I doing? I feel stupid, and I don't know. I don't know how I'm gonna get anywhere. I've had those thoughts. Those thoughts of insecurity, and I started from nowhere. 0 followers on Twitch and everything. And now on Twitch, I have nearly 340 followers now, which is, obviously that's small to a lot of people, but to me, that's a lot. That's a milestone to celebrate. I chose to embody the energy of someone who was successful. When I streamed, when I would take breaks during my stream, I started affirming to myself that I was someone successful. One of my affirmations I still use every day. I tell myself in my own head, I say, I am a success story. I'm not even lying. Manifesting and affirmations is a practice. I'm not going to get too much into that, but it's a practice I do every single day. Consistently throughout the day, I've trained myself. My brain lingers a lot. I got that ADHD brain. It lingers a lot, it goes everywhere, but I've trained myself to let it wander into those affirmations to where now it's so natural for me. Sometimes I'll just be sitting there and it's almost automatic where I'm saying those types of things to myself. I'm not saying everyone here, has to do it exactly like that. Like I said, I'm trying to keep it a bit more general for you guys, but in general, I was embodying the energy of someone who is successful. I was treating myself like someone who was successful from day one. And, that was a learning curve because, as I said, I used to be quite miserable and I used to just, I think I was comfortable. in that misery. And I think a lot of people kind of do that. Sometimes we become comfortable in our own suffering, that when there is good things or a good change that is right in front of us, we don't choose it because it's uncomfortable, even if it's good for us, you know? And so when I started streaming, that was the moment where I just pulled myself together and I was like, okay, Moon, I'm going to act like someone who is successful. I'm going to embody this energy, and I'm going to do it despite my circumstances, despite what others have told me. And even along this journey, you know, there's been people who have judged me for what I'm doing, who there's just been things outside of me that have shown me or have told me that what I'm doing is not what I should be doing, I guess. Even my own brain is still kind of like that. But yes, I like to think that that's a part of the reason why I get so many opportunities now is, like I said, like my kindness to other people, other streamers I've collabed with, to myself especially. I've been working very hard to be kind to myself and to embody that energy, I think. And it has really helped me accept that I do deserve these opportunities I've received. And I think it helps those opportunities grow. You know, like, I think obviously you can still get good opportunities even when you're not treating yourself the best, or even when you think you don't deserve it, or, you know, even if you're in kind of this like negativity. And that's the thing is, I feel like I've seen a lot of advice of, you know, VTubers, content creators, streamers talking about, like, I guess, you know, the ways you should present yourself to other streamers when reaching out, and or just in general. I feel like there is a lot of talk of like how to get people to like you or how you should present yourself. But I feel like there should be more talk of how you are treating yourself and the energy you are embodying just for you. Because like I said, you know, people on my streams and just even every day have no idea I'm sitting there. Yeah, actually, you know, I'm going to talk about this. During my tarot streams, every time I take an ad break or I take a minute, because I have little breaks between my readings, right? I use that time to affirm, no matter how the stream is going, whether or not I'm getting donation readings or whether or not there's a lot of people in my chat today, regardless, I am acting as if I am successful. I am actively feeling the success and more success is coming my way. There has literally been times on stream where I was feeling a little down because I'm like, oh, there's not as many people here today. There's less engagement. No one's been donating for a reading. But I still chose to embody that energy with my thoughts, with thinking, no, I am a success story. People love being around me. People love my streams. I am a success story. These opportunities love me. You know, things like that. There's been times where I would take a break, affirm, and come back, and a bunch of people would suddenly appear in my chat, or I would suddenly start to get more donations. And I think that's another thing I want to mention is your perspective when things are successful for you. I take those moments of success, those moments where I do see these opportunities actually appearing in front of me, working out after I've affirmed it and after I've embodied this energy. And instead of treating it like, oh, I guess it's just a lucky day today, you know, this is not always going to happen, or this usually doesn't happen to me, you know, I run with it. I take that and run with it. And yeah, I think these last few years I worked really hard to kind of change my perspective in this way, because my perspective of myself was so negative and my self-esteem was very low. And I'm still working on that, but no one can crawl inside your little brain and change the way you're thinking about yourself and just your perspective. No one can change that for you. No one is going to save you in that way. You have to do that yourself. You know, you can have friends, family, you can have people who are supportive, but if you choose not to believe them when they tell you that you have value and that you deserve good things, you know, that's all you're ever going to see in the world. That's the energy you're choosing to engage with and project with. I really believe a lot of opportunities and success comes from you internally first, and then it starts showing up. But you have to be consistent. That's the other thing I've learned is, you can't just sit there for a day and be like, I am a success story. And then like 2 days later, be like, well, Moon said opportunities would come, and now they're not. Now I'm sad, and my life's still horrible. That's the other thing is like, it has to be a consistent energy you are engaging with, a consistent narrative you are creating for yourself. That's the thing is, I've been treating my life almost like a story, I guess, if that makes sense. Well, that might not make sense to a lot of people, but basically, it's kind of like that thing of you are the main character of your own life, and well, obviously things happen that are out of our control, right? But we can control some things, including our reactions to things and the energy, as I've been saying, that we're projecting out, that we're engaging with, despite how we feel, despite how we may have been thinking about ourselves. I have continued this narrative that I am a success. I am a success story throughout my whole content streaming career this past year. And because of that, because of me choosing to embody this energy of someone who is successful, even when at the beginning I had no proof that it would work out, I now make good money from what I do, or money that supports me and helps me in my situation. I have loving friends, a loving community. I have opportunities to collab with these amazing streamers, these amazing creators. I also just have connections that I really value right now, and I'm very grateful for. And while my life, still isn't perfect, I still have my struggles and daily things I'm dealing with and life of responsibilities, right? I'm a lot happier now. And truly, I believe that is partly because I've been treating myself better, talking about myself better. I used to use a lot of self-deprecating humor. I know a lot of people like self-deprecating humor, right? I used to use that a lot. I used to talk about myself badly when negative things happened. I used to complain all the time, and I'm not saying you can't complain. I'm not saying you can't have your human moments. You're supposed to be upset sometimes. Like, that's a human thing, that human emotion, that's good to feel, or it's okay to feel, I should say. But overall, I feel better now because I stopped talking about myself badly, even in a joking way. Truly, I know I'm not the only creator who said this. The way you talk about yourself, even in a joking way, I definitely think will affect you. Even if it starts off as just jokes, words are powerful. Which is why I have been choosing to tell myself I am a success. And what happened once I consistently started doing that, I became successful. I started becoming happier. I started learning how to be a better version of myself. Way more than I could imagine, or I didn't really know how I would get here. And that's the thing is, you don't always have to have a giant plan about the future, because we don't know what's going to happen in the future. We can only control ourselves right here, right now. And I promise you, the day you start doing what I did, when you start being kind to yourself, not just being kind to others and, coming from a place of lack from yourself, when you start to be kind to yourself, to be loving, to watch what you say, treating yourself like you are someone who is successful, or at the very least, someone who deserves good things, I promise you, those opportunities, those changes will start showing up in your life. But it is always up to you. Whatever energy, narrative you want to engage with and continue on with your life. If you are content with where you're at, that's up to you. I don't know, I just thought I'd share my thoughts and perspectives on this. I know this video was maybe not the most organized, and honestly, that's a little scary for me recording this, because usually I am thinking about every word I'm gonna say and every single thing I'm gonna do, but I don't know, I just felt like trying this out and trying out a video where maybe people could put this on in the background and listen to it. Because I've been doing that recently with some creators who are really inspiring to me right now, and even if this video just helps one person or inspires you or gives you something to think about or realize about yourself, even if it's not exactly agreeing to what I'm saying, I think it's worth putting this out here for it to find whoever it needs to find, you know? Okay, I think that's enough rambling from me for now. Like I said, I'm a tarot VTuber. I do free tarot live streams on Twitch and on YouTube if you want to check that out. Moon the Raccoon, 1C, 3 O's. I also have art commissions open on my Ko-fi, and I have private tarot readings open on my Ko-fi as well, if you guys want to check that out. Okay, take care of yourselves. I love you guys. Bye-bye.